Okay. Hey everybody. It's LauraJHall and you are here with the Come Cook With Me show. So I was thinking I was having some difficulty with this camera and I just need to step over here real quick. Just can everyone give me a thumbs up if you are able to, you know what, I'm not going to be able to see it. Well, we're just going to assume that I am live and everything is going great with the show. Okay, so we have a fantastic meal set aside for today, and it actually is a meal, but we are making sides this month for the holiday meal, for the holiday meals that you may be planning, and these are great sides. So last week we made a beautiful vegan and regular traditional scallop potato, and today we are going to be making a risotto. And we've actually added a few ingredients to make it a full meal. So it's going to be just splendid, spectacular. And let me go ahead and, before we get started and I show you what's been cooking behind me, let's go ahead and in our community, what we'd love to do is just say hello, who you are, where you're from, and also I want to just go ahead and say it right now. Hit that share button and share it to as many groups as you possibly can, because I'm presently in Facebook timeout, so I can't share it to all my cooking places until I get out of Facebook jail because I can't post in any groups. But if you have that magic button, so all you have to do is hit that share button. But really more than that, let's say hello, who we are, where you're from. If this is the first time on the show, say hello, and we're so glad that you joined us. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how we actually prepare the show. We cook in several different formats. We cook in the slow cooker. So this has been cooking for several hours behind me. And we also cook in the InstantPot. And today, the InstantPot is going to have the vegan, paleo-friendly cauliflower rice risotto. And the MEALTHY pot. These are both fast pressure cookers. So the MEALTHY pressure cooker is going to have the traditional risotto, and we are doing wild mushroom, and we're going to do some sausage, some chicken sausage. So it's a really healthier variety, healthier version. So let's go ahead and show you what's in the slow cooker, and you can see it's near to perfection. It just smells heavenly in this house. Let me just tell you that. So let me grab this off the pot. And it is just absolutely beautiful. I'm going to show it to you right there. So it is ready to go. I'm going to do a quick stir for this. And at the end, you'll see how we actually are going to serve it. So this is it smells divine. I'm just going to do a real quick stir. It's just so full of flavors. One of the things I will recommend to you, if you get to your completed dish and it's too sticky, you can always add in some more of your broth. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this recipe and share with you how we started. If you're cooking with me, one of the things that I did is I did a pre-cook of the sausages. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. And I also reconstituted the mushrooms. So let me talk about those steps. And I have taken pictures of the whole process. So when we're finished with the show, not only will I put all of the recipes on this post, but I'm also going to post the pictures that we've taken because it really gives a really good step-by-step. But let's go ahead and talk about how I did the sausages. So I have two types of sausage. I have a chicken sausage, so it's just ground chicken with some herbs and some additional herbs and spices. And you can get those in the grocery store. So I got some organic chicken sausage. And what I did was, before I cooked it up, I chopped it up into quarter slices, and then I put it in the pots with some extra virgin olive oil. And then I pulled out the meat and set it aside. When it cooled, I went ahead and chopped it up. Now that's for the actual traditional. And for the vegan, vegetarian, I used two fantastic products. I'll show them to you. I used the field roast Mexican chipotle, and field roast Italian. And these are vegetarian, vegan, grains and vegetables, sausages. Really amazing product. I love them. They taste amazing. And I actually cook those the same way. So what we did is we put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in the bottom of the pot. I've gone ahead and cleaned them so that it didn't look like it was not. But really, if you were going to be doing it just in simultaneous, you wouldn't have to clean the pot because you're just going to be using those beautiful bits and juices. But they'll be in the bottom of this. And again, once they cool, I just chop them up again. Okay, so reconstituting mushrooms. Now that does take a little bit of time. And obviously, when you're at the store, if you can buy fresh mushrooms, wild mushrooms, that's great. But we could not. So what we did is we have 3 different flavors of mushrooms. We have the chanterelle, and the shiitake, and the porcini. And these 3 mushrooms, what I did is I put them in a saucepan. I'll show you a typical saucepan. This one happened to be the vegan one. So I put them in a saucepan, and you'll see a couple of different varieties of how I did it. But we used an entire box of, well, for the vegetarian, we used an entire box of vegetable broth, okay? And we used all of the spices that we're cooking with to get the wild mushrooms in the same flavor as how we're going to be cooking. All of the flavors are going to be built and blended together. So what you'll do is you put a whole box of the broth in a saucepan, put your spices and your garlic and your mushrooms in, and you're going to slow cook them for about 30 minutes to a simmer, not quite a boil, but a nice heavy simmer. And when they're done, what you'll do is you'll take them out. You can sieve them, or but save the broth. Don't let the broth go. So you can see here for the traditional, I actually have the broth all handy and ready, and for the vegetarian, for the vegan, we have the broth here as well. All right. So once you get those mushrooms pulled out and they cool off a little bit, what you're going to do is chop them up. And what you'll see is once I chop them up, these are the wild mushrooms on the side, and then I have some baby portobello on the other side. So there's a mix of mushrooms in this particular recipe. So those are all the things that we did as a just to get us ready. So now we're going to go ahead and pull it all together and put this recipe into the pots. And I'm going to start off with, I'll start off with the vegetarian vegan because it's a little bit different of how we actually cook this recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and hit saute. I'm going to hit start. And I want to get to saute. Here we go. There we go. Saute, hit start, and it's going to get started. So what I'm going to do in the bottom of that pot, when it gets starting to heat, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of a vegan butter. And all I do is this is a Pure Blends avocado plant-based vegetable oil butter. And that's going to get started to heat up a little bit. I'm going to grab an extra wooden spoon so we don't make too much noise. All right. So that's starting to heat up a little bit. And when I hit start. It's helpful if you hit start. Okay, so let's talk about the ingredients while this is heating up. I actually think I should go ahead and start the saute on both of them. So we'll go ahead and do that. For the traditional recipe, let me hit saute, and it'll just get started. For the traditional recipe, we are just going to use a clarified ghee butter, and again, 3 tablespoons. And if you don't like to use the clarified butter, you can actually go ahead and use olive oil. There are not a lot of drippings left after you do the cooking of the sausages. It just doesn't, the chicken is is really a clean meat, so there's not really a lot there. So we're going to let those get nice and hot. Okay. I should have hit that preheating a little bit earlier. All right, so in the bottom of this particular pan, there we go, it's starting to melt nice. Perfect. All right, in the bottom of this one, what we're going to start off with is we have two types of onions. We have a sweet, organic diced yellow onion, and then we have 3 shallots that are in here. So 1 medium onion and 3 shallots. And we'll go ahead and dump those in so they can start to saute. And this one, oh yeah, that's nicely melting. Let me grab one more spoon just because we're going to be adding that sausage in too. Oh, it's already starting to smell wonderful. I just love how onions smell and when they cook. They're just so wonderful. So, I don't know about you, but I have been busy getting all of my Christmas gifts taken care of. I'm hoping everyone else is having fun doing all of that. It's so awesome. So we're going to saute our onions, just get those started, and then we're going to add in the mushrooms as they're sauteing. Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, we'll be able to add all of them. Just going to fold those in, get those started. They look so, if you could smell these mushrooms, they smell so wonderful. I actually, if I had a preference, I will have to say, I actually think the reconstituted mushrooms are going to have such a deeper, complex flavor because of how we reconstituted them. So I would almost say, if you can, get the dry mushrooms so you can reconstitute. Now, it does take a little extra step, but I think it's going to be worth it. And so we want to let those saute. And we're going to add some spices to this while they're sauteing. Oh, that just smells so wonderful. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add some thyme and garlic. And what I've done is I've taken some a thyme sprig. In fact, I see this one got a little bit of more of the stem. We don't want to have the stem in there. All right, so what I've done is I've taken some garlic, roasted garlic, and you'll see it over there on the stove. I roast up a lot of garlic for the weekend because we love garlic in our house. But so there's roasted garlic and there's fresh thyme, and there are 3 sprigs of thyme in this roasted garlic. And you can have as much garlic as you wish. I have quite a few cloves in here. There's probably, I think I used about 15 cloves of garlic. We love garlic. But really, it adds such a beautiful, complex flavor. And I always roast our garlic. We roast it at 325 degrees for about 15 minutes, and in some olive oil. And it just comes out so beautiful, soft and buttery, and takes the bite out of the garlic. It has such a great flavor. Okay. Fantastic. So I'm going to add in some spices. So the spices that we're using, there are very few spices that we're going to be using today. So the first one is liquid aminos. These are coconut liquid aminos. What I love about them is that they're organic, they're gluten-free, they're non-GMO, no MSG, and they are vegan. So they're really wonderful, and it's so much better than a soy product going into our bodies. So we're going to add some coconut aminos. And don't worry about all of the amounts. I'll have that specifically identified in the recipe. All right, now we're going to add in some ground cumin. And one of the things I really like to talk about is when you pick out your spices, it's so important when you're cooking to try to go as organic as you possibly can. With the less pesticides that we're putting into our body, so much better. But also, this label here, it says non-GMO. So we really, really focus on teaching people how to cook healthy. And when you put non-genetically modified organisms in your body, that is the best. But you don't want to have is genetically modified food going into your body because it wreaks havoc on our endocrine system. So we use non-GMO products whenever possible. So we did cumin, and we have some organic Italian seasoning. Give it a nice stir, move that around. Oh, the mushrooms are smelling heavenly, just beautiful. And you can see inside the pots, the onions are starting to get a little translucent, which is exactly what you want to have. And we're going to add in some black pepper. And we're going to add in, one of my favorites is Japanese 7 spice. It's just got a wide variety of just fantastic flavors that really make this recipe pop. Okay, stir that up a lot. And actually, I can turn off that saute feature because those onions and the mushrooms are looking exactly the way we want them. So fantastic. This recipe is just amazing. Okay, so I'm going to hit cancel and hit cancel there. All right, beautiful. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the additional wet ingredients that we're going to add, and then we're going to fold in the actual sausage. And for the vegan style, we have 1 head of riced cauliflower. And that's the beauty of this particular recipe. It's so paleo friendly, it's gluten free, it's just beautiful. And I love how the food processor rices up the actual cauliflower. It's just beautiful. All right, so for the vegan, I'm just going to focus on the vegan. What you're going to want to do is add in 1 cup of your broth. This is the broth that we did the mushrooms in, that we reconstituted. So what we have done is save the broth, and you only actually need 1 cup. I have some extra over there just in case we need it once everything is done cooking. So you're just going to go ahead and add that into your mixture. You're going to want to get 1 cup rather, of our coconut milk. And so I've got 1 cup in here of coconut milk. I'll go ahead and show you the can there in a minute. This is the coconut milk that I purchased. It has no preservatives. That's what I love about it. There's no gums, there's no thickeners, there's no preservatives added to this one. I love that one for that reason. So I'm just going to stir that around quite a bit. Oh, gives it such a beautiful creamy texture. Okay, and we have we're going to need 1 cup of white wine. I can go ahead and add that in over here as well. Okay. All right. And we have some nutritional yeast seasoning, and that's the seasoning here. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. I'll go ahead and add it in over here as well. Look at how nicely those mushrooms cook down. So beautiful. Okay. And I didn't add the coconut milk over here. Beautiful. Oh, that's just, oh, it looks so good. So fantastic. All right. So in the traditional recipe, you're going to want 32 ounces. So when I reconstituted mushrooms, obviously the mushrooms took up a whole box. We used a whole box, and there was probably about 8 ounces of liquid remaining, so we needed to use, that's why in the recipe you'll see there's a call for a box and a half. You don't need as much liquid with the cauliflower because it doesn't plump up. Like, you'll need to have the liquid for the rice. So go ahead and add that in. Oh, beautiful. Okay. And what we're going to do is add in our sausages. So I've got the chicken sausage going in the traditional. And you'll see it's all nice and chopped up. So great. And we have the vegetarian, plant-based sausages. And I love the combination of the two different flavors. Again, this is one of those recipes, it's really what your family loves to have. I like to have a little extra spice in our cooking, so you'll have to decide on the kind of brands that you end up getting. But all right, so for the traditional, we have this type of arborio. What I like about this particular rice is it's gluten-free, it's vegan, and it has non-GMOs label. So again, a great product. We're going to go ahead, and there's 2 cups. We're going to fold that in right here. And I'll give that a quick stir. So awesome. Looks fantastic. All right. And we have the whole cauliflower that's been riced. I love how the food processor really rices it. Makes it so beautiful. It is a little bit messy. I ended up having cauliflower all throughout the house on the floor when it jumps out at you. Okay, just give that a quick stir. And one of the things you want to make sure that there is going to be enough liquid in here. And a lot of these ingredients have taken up that liquid. So I think based on what I'm seeing, I'm going to add in just a little bit more liquid here because it will go to that burn phase, and we don't want to have that happen. And that is why I saved the additional liquid from cooking the mushrooms. So I do have a trick at the end, after this is actually finished cooking. If it's too thin, what I have is some tapioca cornstarch to finish it off and make it just a little bit more thick. Oh, that looks incredible. And I love having the healthier version because it just takes off, you know, for people who are watching the carbohydrates, you want to, maybe you're doing Whole30, maybe you're just strictly staying with the paleo friendly. I think you'll love this recipe just for that reason. It looks incredible. Gorgeous. Okay, so all we have to do is put the pot tops on and get them cooking. So I'm going to put the InstantPot lid on, and I'm going to secure it. And what you want to do is make sure you lock it in place and make sure that it isn't set for venting. For the cauliflower, you want to set it at manual for 2 minutes. That's all you're going to need to do. There we go, pressure. And I want to hit 2 minutes. I'm going to take this down. Just 2 minutes will do. It will cook very, very fast once it gets to pressure. And then we hit start. For the traditional recipe in the MEALTHY pot, again, make sure it's vented in the closed position. Lock it into place, and you're going to hit pressure cook. And you want to do 7 minutes. So I'm going to hit it for 7 minutes and a high pressure. And it'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so now, how would you serve this? Let's go ahead and let me put the lid back onto that. Get rid of this. Give us a little bit of space so we can see how we would be serving this particular recipe. So once this is finished, what you're going to do is I have some Parmesan and some vegan Parmesan. So when it's finished, we're going to do a quick pressure release, and we're going to stir in a half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan, or if you're doing the vegetarian, you're going to use the Follow Your Heart dairy-free Parmesan shreds. Okay, so we'll put half a cup in each one of them. And this is the tapioca starch. It's tapioca pudding. I'll show it to you. It's flour. And it's what we'll use if we need to thicken it up a little bit. So that's what's the beauty of that. Now I know behind me, that risotto, which is traditional, is ready to be served. So let me go ahead and share with you how we'll actually serve that. I'm going to push this out of the way so we can bring it over front and center. And I'll turn it off. Stop. It smells heavenly. It looks beautiful. And so we want to go ahead and get one plate. And you can actually use a bowl. I'm going to use a plate. And get a big spoon to serve it from. And if you take a look, it's just beautiful. I wouldn't do anything to it. It's just so heavenly, so beautiful. So you want to make sure when you serve it, you want to get some of that sausage and all of the wide variety of mushrooms to put it on. And again, remember this is a side. You can do the side with the chicken or without the chicken sausage. It's really a choice. It's very hot. Okay. And so what we have here is we have some sprigs. You can choose curly parsley, you can choose your favorite. But since we have so much time in this recipe, and there's no joke intended there, since we have a lot of time, organic thyme in this recipe, I figure a sprig of thyme is a beautiful centerpiece. So we'll go ahead and just pull off just a couple, spread it on, sprinkle on, and then take the tip off. And you want to get a lemon. This has already been cleaned off. It's been washed. And you want to get a grater, and you're going to just zest it just a little bit, just on the top. I love to zest. It brings such beautiful flavors and makes everything taste so fresh. It's so beautiful. All right, and then we're going to sprinkle in just a little bit of extra Parmesan because we can, and it just will bring this to such great flavor. So we'll just sprinkle a little bit on, and that is exactly how we'll be serving it. You could actually layer in, since you have a lot of time, you could layer in, just make a cross. And there you have it. And that's it. Let's go ahead and take a taste and see how it tastes. I'm very excited to do this. I had somebody who's watched the show, and she gave me a great recommendation. She says, why don't you end the show? Because you share so much love and so much passion in what you're doing. She said, one of the things that I've seen that she loves is when people actually taste their food when it's done. So I set the show up just to do that very specifically. So I'm going to get some chicken in there and get a nice mushroom. Oh, a beautiful bite. It's going to be very hot. So let's see. Oh my God. This is so good. So awesome. Desiree, I have to thank you. That was a beautiful suggestion because that really just capstones everything. So that's the end of the show. I want to thank you so much for watching. Now, remember, I'm in Facebook timeout, so the more we can share this throughout all of the recipe pages that you might belong to, put a quick message in sharing my girlfriend's recipe. It would be wonderful to share this with so many people. It's just so darn delicious. And at the very end of our show, one of the things that we do, if you hit that share button, and it depends on how many times you share, because the more places you share, the more chances you get a chance to win that beautiful MEALTHY pot. So let me go ahead and grab last week's people who share the show, and we will see who is going to be the lucky winner this week. I just love to cook, and I love sharing love and my passion of cooking with all of you, so I appreciate you joining in tonight. And I think I pulled one out. Yep, I've got one in my hand. Good luck. I don't know who it is. Let's see. All right, and it is Heidi Field. Heidi, I know you've shared before, but I haven't seen you share this in such a long time, so congratulations, Heidi. Gosh, wow. And I know you just recently shared this too. So I'll send you a quick message and say congratulations to Heidi. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you next week. We're going to be on location. My goddaughter was born on Tuesday, so I'm going to be headed to Jacksonville and kind of help the family out. So we'll be cooking live from her kitchen. I'm not really positive how it's all going to go, but we'll improvise. We can improvise and do that. And the other thing I was going to ask everyone, and I'd love to get some feedback, is we're thinking about changing the day of the show. Fridays I think that people just get so darn busy, and we're thinking about moving the day of the show to Wednesday. So I'd really love to have some feedback from all of you. And with that said, have a beautiful, wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us. Love to all of you, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.